That's not a f***ing fiber.
I swear to God, that is a piece of metal.
Not okay. That is not looking good at all.
Morphe stores and Morphe online have had 102 returns. That's it. I asked my friends who have deep skin. I actually tried them on Jordan's friends, a lot of them who are very, very deep in tone. And then we also hired out 40 different people with deep skin tones as well to come in and help me create these too.
The swatches were just terrible. Everyone was just like, girl, like, what are these swatches?
Hey guys, so today's video is going to be another deep dive video. I enjoyed doing the last one and I've been trying to figure out what my next one should be, and then a situation just literally fell in my fucking lap. If you haven't seen, it's been circulating around Twitter recently. Jaclyn Hill posted a video to her Instagram. Her exact words were, "Not me still wearing my lipsticks that people claimed were contaminated, filled with mould and harming people. Bad bitches only." She replied to someone's comment on her story. Hi, Casper. She replied to someone asking, "So were they not contaminated?" Laughed my ass off, no. 2% of my lipsticks had white fuzzies. How is it only 2% when every single influencer had white fuzzy?
That is absolutely mortifying. What are these hairs? What the fuck is that?
So you can see the little hairs right there that look like little alien antennas. There are also little holes at the bottom, or they're around the edge there.
Literal contaminants in the lipsticks, even though there was a lot more than that in it, but I will get into that in a second. I'll just finish what she said. So, and air bubbles in them. They weren't air bubbles, there was a lot more than that in there, but sure. 2%. That's how loud the internet is. All the people who claimed there were mould, contamination, etc. lied for views. So she's saying that every single person that showed anything inside their lipsticks, there was literally people pulling hairs out of the lipstick, which was clearly embedded. I have multiple videos of that.
Some of the lipsticks, I will say, look just fine. Some of them look hideous. I'm going to insert some photos of the lipsticks that I'm talking about, and you'll see immediately that I am not exaggerating.
Oh my god! There's the craziest long hair on this. You can see it right there. Look at that! That's not a f***ing fiber. That is straight up a hair.
That's a huge needle. It's like there's more than one. Yep, definitely. Oh my gosh.
I just pulled that out.
She's saying that those people were lying. Okay? And I sat back and took it and let it destroy me. She fucking left the internet for like 3 months. She is the girl boss brand owner she is. Fucking ran away from the problem and removed her social media. I'm pretty sure Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics social media, every single, like Twitter, Instagram. She was not contactable. Understandably, a lot of people got pissed off about this because firstly, she's gaslighting every single fucking person that received those lipsticks and were not happy with them. She's gaslighting every single fucking person who got PR or bought those lipsticks and made a video showing one person literally found metal in their lipstick.
Do you see that? What is that? That's not a hair. That's not like a fiber. What is that? I swear to God, that is a piece of metal. I swear to God, like, it's reflective. Oh my Lord. Oh my no. This isn't funny anymore. This was never funny. This is literally, that's metal. That is straight up either metal or it's glass because it's reflective. And Jaclyn Hill needs to recall this lipstick. There's literally people putting up pictures of themselves being cut on their lips when they swatched it, and I was like, no, surely not. Like, surely someone's pulling a prank. There is something metal or glass in that lipstick right there.
It's just a rant before we get into the video because, like, I have to get this out because otherwise I will not be able to get through this whole thing. Please don't forget that the first time anyone complained to Jaclyn on Twitter, her fucking first response was to blame the person and say that they clearly had swatched it or used it on their dry ass lips. She blamed a customer. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because there has been a pattern of this bullshit for years now. And her doubling down over a year later that her lipsticks were not contaminated. Contaminated means that something is in the fucking product that wasn't meant to be in there. Literal fucking food companies have to say if something is in a warehouse with nuts or dairy or eggs, even if it's not in the product, because it's possible that it can be contaminated if it's in the same fucking warehouse. You don't get to say something's not contaminated when it clearly fucking was. Something that was not meant to be in those fucking lipsticks was. That is a contamination. Sorry, I've been really pissed off about that fucking response to something that no one was talking about. So, let's go through all of, or as many as I could remember anyway, of Jaclyn's collaborations and her brand releases and all of the collabs that she seems to have problems with, and the excuses and the fake fucking apologies, because please don't think that she meant what she said in that video when she apologized to her customers, to her fucking fans, to her subscribers, when she is over a year later saying that my lipsticks were not contaminated and they were perfectly safe, because she was putting every single person at risk by not recalling those products. That's what a responsible brand owner should have done. They have insurance for shit like this. She chose to let her fans, subscribers, consumers be at risk and continue to be at risk. First of all, we have, I think Jaclyn Hill had a collaboration with Sigma brushes. I know quite a lot of influencers, including Robert Welsh, have done collaborations where they pick their favourite brushes from Sigma and they do a collection with them. The only reason I say that, I couldn't find a video on it, but Jaclyn did do a meet and greet at Sigma, so I'm just assuming she possibly had a collaboration with. Because I couldn't find anything about it, I can't confirm whether there was any problems with it. It's really hard to find information this far back, so like I said, I'm really sorry if I miss anything. Jaclyn then had a collaboration with Gerard Cosmetics. She did a lipstick collaboration. The reason I'm struggling with these ones is just because this is before I really joined YouTube, so, and before I started following beauty influencers, so I don't really have that much information, and like I said, because it's really old, I wasn't really able to find that much information. The only thing I will say, around this time, there was lists and lists and lists of affiliate links
of discount codes with brands like Makeup Geek, Sigma, Gerard Cosmetics, and Self Tanner brands. If you look at any of her description boxes in 2014, there's just lists of affiliate codes. It's a lot, which at the time was kind of weird, but now I feel like a lot of people expect that.
So this is before affiliate links were really shown for what they were by, is it Here for the Tea? Basically, affiliate links, if you don't know, they are specific links directly to a product that an influencer is talking about, and if you buy it, the influencer gets a commission. So it's a bit like when people say like they've got a Morphe code. Rather than putting in a code at the end of checkout, you literally use the link, buy the product directly from there, and it automatically will give the influencer back a portion of the money. If you're a car salesman and you sell a car, you'll get a commission from your sale. Influencers aren't always salespeople. However, Jaclyn Hill has been kind of known for a long time now as the sort of used car salesman of the beauty community. Jaclyn Hill could sell fucking sand to someone stuck in the desert. She is that good. And it's probably one of the reasons why people really enjoyed her content for a really long time. It's because she's so passionate about stuff, but unfortunately this really does bite her in the arse. The reason I mentioned that is because I used to do a lot of affiliate links with Sigma Beauty and Gerard Cosmetics and Makeup Geek. Later down the line, those do start to dissipate because she very heavily leans on selling for Morphe.
It's by Morphe. Morphe brush, Morphe brushes. Morphe is the exact same quality as like Makeup Geek. And Morphe, the owner of Morphe and Morphe. I am an affiliate with Morphe. I actually was their first affiliate. Morphe. Oh my god, it's Morphe. I'm gonna go in with a Morphe gel liner. I swear to God, this video is not sponsored by Morphe.
Because she gets a bigger commission, let's be honest. After Gerard Cosmetics collaboration, there was the Becca Champagne Pop Highlighter. Again, this was before I came to YouTube, but from what I know, there was very little wrong with this launch. The first couple of collaborations that Jaclyn had, she didn't really have too much drama with them. She then had her first collaboration with Morphe. Morphe was doing these like favourites palettes. I know Kathleen Lights had one. It had like this really bright green in it from what I remember. And Jaclyn Hill also did a Morphe favourites palette. It's basically, I believe the influencers chose what their favourite shades were and Morphe just shoved that into like an empty palette and just shoved their name on it from what I understand. These got a lot of good reviews. So, however, her next collaboration is where everything starts to fall apart for Jaclyn. This was her second Becca collaboration. So the Becca collaboration had, from memory, it was a face palette, an eyeshadow palette and a lip gloss. Oh, and another highlighter, which was Prosecco Pop. Something I will mention right now is that even in this early timeline, and I appreciate like it's taken a long time for brands to really appreciate that they need to cater to all skin tones, but this has been a consistency across Jaclyn's brand, her brand and her collaborations where she only considers possibly herself and her skin tones. Someone commented on one of my tweets saying that Jaclyn makes products for her as a brand owner, which I think is kind of fucked up. And I think even in these early collaborations, you can kind of see that she's not really considering anyone of a deeper skin tone. She made Champagne Pop, which was for fair to maybe if you like skin, kind of. And then she made Prosecco Pop, from what I saw of swatches, was a little bit deeper. There was nothing for anyone of deep skin tone. So it's just something I wanted to highlight because this becomes a consistency across the board later down the line. However, with this launch, there was huge issues with the eyeshadow palette.
Some people got palettes that had very bad quality eyeshadows from what I understand. Apparently they were chalky, not very pigmented. On the other hand, some people got really good palettes. So basically, Becca pulled the palette from...
People were saying they were unblendable, they were patchy, they just were not the quality you would expect, especially from a brand like Becca, and considering Becca's old price point. So obviously, because Jaclyn collabed with a brand, Becca apologised for it, did like a sweeping statement. They took responsibility for the poor quality. If you are collabing with a brand, you have no control over their labs, you have no control over that sort of stuff. It makes sense that the brand would have to take responsibility. Remember I said that. The brand takes responsibility. Later down the line, Jaclyn comes out with her first proper eyeshadow palette with Morphe. This was the OG big palette. This had, again, very good reviews all the way across, so I don't really have much to say about that. To be honest, looking back, it is a good palette. It is very much just it's kind of like a big basics palette in a way. After this eyeshadow palette, we had another kind of flop for Jaclyn. We had the Morphe Favourites brush collection. So this was similar to the Favourites palette where she got to pick eyeshadows. This was a collection of brushes that she apparently got to pick from Morphe's current lines, and it was just a collection of brushes and they were sold in this like crocodile brush case. I actually have that brush case because I thought it was really good because it's like a hard plastic so it doesn't mess up your brushes during travel. So I actually genuinely really like that brush case, but there was problems with these brushes. First of all, people were suspecting that because this was such a random collection of brushes, that these were possibly, there's no confirmation on this, but they were possibly sort of the dregs of stuff that just weren't selling, and because Jaclyn can sell like a used car salesman, people would buy this and get rid of some of their excess stock. Not saying that that's definitely true, but I know that was something that was considered at the time, because there were definitely brushes in there that she didn't fucking use. And even when you look at her newer brush collection, the brush shapes aren't even very consistent in most cases. So it's just something to think about. I appreciate people's tastes on brush shapes and stuff like that changes, but it's just, like I said, it's just something to consider. I don't necessarily think that she was using every single one of those that often. The other problem people were having with these brushes, there's especially one I remember, I can't find the video of it now because I'm pretty sure it was on a John Cookian video. Again, this was like 2016 or something. This was years ago, and he has like unlisted every single one of his videos, so I couldn't fucking find it. But I remember specifically there was a brush that was very domed, that I think she said was for blush, and it was shedding. People were swatching it on their arm and showing that the brush hairs, every single time they moved it, one would come out. They were just like flying out of this. It was just a very poorly made brush. It was problems people had had with Morphe for a while, but because Jaclyn had put her name to this, again, it became an issue. I don't know if she made an Instagram story or made a statement at all at the time, but I'm just trying to show that there has been problems across the board on a lot of collaborations. Not on every single one, as I've mentioned. There has been some that have gone off with no problems whatsoever, but it gets worse as time goes on. The next was the infamous Vault collection. This was apparently meant to be a bunch of shades that could not fit into the original 30-something Morphe palette, because Jaclyn apparently tested so many and all of these other colours had been in the vault of Morphe, and eventually they decided that they would sell colour stories for each. There was a red one, a purple one, like a yellowish one, and a very smoky grunge kind of one. I actually, funnily enough, still have. I bought two and I still have them. I don't use them that often because the green is like messy as fuck. The rest of the shades I don't have that much issue with, to be honest. A lot of people unfortunately had a lot of issues with these palettes. There was complete inconsistencies across the board. The influencers were the first ones who got them, and they were released in one store. Especially influencers testing it out said that they had consistent issues. They were literally putting on shades and there was patches.
I'm going in with a little bit more shadow than I was before because I saw it getting super patchy, but even now it's patchy. Even with more shadow, I dip my brush in one more time to see if I can get that to even out. That's better. This looks like one that you like really gotta pack on well. It's a beautiful color. So much damn fallout though, and no, it's doing that thing. It's doing that thing where it's so much darker in the crease than it is on the lid. And we spent more time on the lid, so that's what's really confusing about it. Let me take a dry, clean brush now. Let's see if we can get that to blend out a bit. So just swirling that in the crease. Again, you saw me. I did not pick up any additional shadow. Ugh, that is not okay. That is not looking good at all. I mean, you guys, you can see it there. Like, this is, I can't lie. That is horrible. Now, these shadows are questionable because, I mean, it's like they're pigmented. They just are blending weird. And that's why I was kind of saying, like, I feel like I'm having subculture flashbacks.
Because they had all of this feedback, Morphe decided to push back the launch. For a lot of people said that that was a really good decision. It obviously would cost a bit of money to push back a launch, especially probably one as big as a Jaclyn Hill launch. It was well received, let's just say. However, apparently they turned around, not only found the problem, fixed the problem, and repressed new eyeshadows within 6 fucking weeks. Yeah, Marlene Estelle, who is the brand owner of Makeup Geek, appreciate that Makeup Geek has since closed down. Yeah, she's aware of how quickly things turned around, and 6 weeks is not how quickly it turns around. You don't change a formula that fucking quick. People are really questioning this timeline of turning something around that quickly because it takes months to do things like this. Then people started receiving their palettes. Some people had a batch code that had no V number on it, I think, but other people had something that said, the batch code said ended in V2, and people thought that because they got a V2 they must have got the new formula, whereas people that just got a standard batch code got the original formula. Jaclyn's video, I fucking shit you not, She literally said that whatever the person's title was, said that the batch codes are like that just because they're like that.
You guys are seeing batch codes, and then you are seeing a production code which says V2 on it, and everyone is posting pictures saying, I didn't get the V2, I didn't get the version 2, that means that mine isn't good, that means mine's bad, even though people are getting palettes that don't have V2 written on the back, and they're beautiful, and they're creamy, and they're pigmented, and they're buttery, and they're blendable. People are so upset because they think that V2 means version 2. That is not what it means. So I personally spoke to the senior vice president of global operations at Morphe and talked to him on the phone and asked him, like, explain to me, break this down to me. So he explained to me that the first 15% of the palettes don't have a V2 after it because they just don't. But after the first 15%, they all start to have a V2 because they realize that they're gonna have to mark it down. So there is one with no V2, there's one with V2, and there's also some that are coming out as of this moment with V3, V4, and V5.
However, the problem with this concept is that she contradicts herself in this video. She says that people were receiving the original with no batch code on it, Morphe, to save money.
But I will say they are reusing packaging. You will see that, like, on some boxes, there's like stickers over top of it because the packaging was really expensive on this collection, and because they ordered so much, they were using the packaging, which
they saved the packaging from the original quarantined pallets.
the real truth is that it has been quarantined. It has been moved to a completely different warehouse. It was moved to a different warehouse before any new shipment came in from China and shipped to Los Angeles, but it is gone. Like, they
and reuse the packaging to save money. Let me get that fucking palette. Both of mine have V2. Yes, I appreciate these are old. Now, the reason I wanted to mention this thing is fucking cardboard. First of all, the packaging of a cardboard palette is cheap as fuck. There is no reason why you wouldn't be able to just get new packaging and recycle this fucking shit. I will say you have the mirror. To depot a cardboard palette, you have to literally rip this shit apart. It is not like a magnetic palette where they have like these little holes in the back. You have these in even some compacts for pad foundation, things like that. You can pop out the metal component and refill it. That is not what this looks like. To depot this shit, you would have had to ruin this, and it would have even taken a lot longer than just replacing this whole fucking component. So that was complete bullshit, in my opinion. Either Morphe fucking blatantly lied to her, which apparently Linda would never do.
Linda would never lie to me. She would never, ever lie to me.
Or Jaclyn lied to people, and it wouldn't be the first time, considering she did turn around and say that she got information wrong.
That is what I was told, but it ended up not being the case.
The other thing around these vaults that really frustrated me was the fact that Jaclyn accused people of lying. She accused her fans of lying. She said that every single person that spoke out on Twitter saying that they had a shit fucking vault, she apparently personally contacted, and when she contacted them, they said, oh, actually, I've tried it on the eyes now and everything's perfectly fine.
I will reach out to them personally through DM and be like, I am so sorry that you are unhappy with your palette. Like, please let me send you another one and hopefully it'll be better. I don't know what happened. I'm working on this with Morphe, and I am not kidding. Every single person that I have DM'd has responded back to me, except one girl, and I'll talk about her in a second, has responded back to me and been like, oh, don't worry about it. Now that I tried it on my eyes, it's actually really beautiful and I really like it. Sorry, girl, you're doing amazing. Keep doing your thing. People are just clearly putting things out there to get attention, and their tweet starts blowing up and they start getting, you know, tons and tons of feedback. And then when I reach out to them, they're like, oh no, it's actually totally good. Like, what? I've had people show swatches on Twitter. They're like crappy swatches. And I'm like, what's going on? Can I get your batch code? Can I get your production code? Like, you know, I want to help you. I want to fix this for you. And they'll come back and they'll be like, oh, don't worry. Now that I like scraped off the top layer, it's beautiful and I love it now. There has literally not been one person out there, not one, who has accepted me sending them a new vault. Not one. So a couple of days ago, I called Linda and I was like, hey, I want to know how many vaults have actually been returned at this point. Morphe came back with like actual stats, and only 1% of vaults have been returned. 1%. And the majority of them have been exchanged. Like Morphe stores and Morphe online have had 102 returns. That's it.
First of all, if a brand owner or a brand collaborator, someone you look up to, if I was buying something of Kathleen Lights, for instance, I really like Kathleen Lights, I've always been a Kathleen Lights fan. If Kathleen Lights contacted me directly, I would be so intimidated. And I would be like, oh no, it's fine, don't worry. I would be trying not to make a fuss about something, and I would try and deal with it with the brand directly, because I wouldn't want to put that on that person. I would find it very intimidating and overwhelming of someone who I apparently looked up to and appreciated as a YouTuber that I probably consistently watch, to have them contact me directly. Even people with like 10 to 20,000, when they reply to a comment on a YouTube video, I still get like, oh my god, this person actually like responded to me. I still get like that. So that may be why people were not saying specifically to Jaclyn, yes, I do have a problem, I need to sort it out. They may not have thought that maybe she was the best person to deal with their complaint. Also, people may just want to vent on Twitter and already have a new replacement on the way or something. But apparently, in Jaclyn's word, there was only like 120 or something complaints or returns or refunds. But don't forget, people were complaining at the time that they couldn't even fucking get refunds, because Morphe had said if you had swatched it or used it, then you can't return it. Even though, how are you meant to know if it was the shitty quality product until you had fucking used it? So Jaclyn sticking up for Morphe in this video consistently, I think turned a lot of people off and showed that, well, she must be blaming us then, because she's not putting any blame on herself or on Morphe. So after this one, there was the Morphe Jaclyn Hill brush, like official brush collection. They're these white brushes. From what I remember, there wasn't any problems with those, not anything substantial anyway. And then not long after that brush collection, we had Lipstick Gate. Just quick synopsis, Jaclyn came out with approximately 20 nude lipsticks as her brand launch. Probably controversial take, but I genuinely don't think that the component of that lipstick was worth the price point she was trying to sell it for. She was trying to sell those lipsticks for $14 to $20, and I'm sorry, but that packaging, to me, obviously I never felt it, I never had them, but it looked tacky, in my opinion. You look at a Pat McGrath lipstick, I know it's a completely different aesthetic, but the packaging's a lot more luxe looking. Honestly, most luxe lipsticks are a lot more simplistic. If you look at luxury lipstick packaging compared to what Jaclyn had and what I think she was probably going for, I don't know, personally I thought they were kind of ugly. However, firstly, again, influencers got their packaging. Some of the influencers, like for instance Raw Beauty Christie, bought the lipsticks herself because she didn't think that she was going to get PR. But she got a PR kit and she bought all 20 lipsticks. And she, firstly, did not expect that her video was going to blow up.
Got some traction, okay.
Because she'd seen all this on Twitter saying that people were having issues, etc., she used a microscope that she already had.
I whipped out my microscope because, first of all, I didn't have a magnifying glass or any way to see them more up close, which was the only goal of me whipping that out. But
she used a microscope to try and see as close as possible as to what the small fibres were that were clearly coming out. They weren't sitting on top, they were embedded into these lipsticks.
Look at a MAC lipstick, unused, up close. Whatever that little line is, but other than that, it looks pretty normal. Yuck, dude. This place should be just ashamed.
They were gross. There was little black holes around them. People had warm spots. I will say the warm sort of melting spots completely make sense to me, because there are other lipsticks that have like a more creamy formula that if you if it is a warm day.
I've definitely received products in the past that have this same sort of look to them. It's unappealing looking, but from what I understand, if a product gets too warm or the product starts kind of breaking down, or like the ingredient starts to sweat through some of the oilier ingredients in the product through to the surface, and it can bead up and kind of cause sweating. I've seen this before in products. I've had lipsticks that have sweat before. It doesn't seem to compromise the product at all. It can be just kind of icky looking.
Like shea butter and things like that. Things melt, obviously, and things react to heat and stuff like that. So I completely understand why something like that may have been in there. But the air bubbles, people thought that this was mold, first of all, because Jaclyn has been talking about her brand before it was launched at least 2 to 4 years prior, and people considered she's had these lipsticks made up for a while and they've just been sitting on a shelf waiting for the best time to sell them, because she has so many fucking brand collabs in the pipelines as well that she had to find the perfect fucking way to do it.
I'll say the smell to me is a little Play-Doh-y. I know she said a lot in her video about how she really tried to make like a custom good smell and not just some generic smell that every lipstick brand uses. I prefer the generic smell. This one smells a little Play-Doh-y. Like there's something a little weird about it.
Some of these lipsticks were gross. Like there was a little ball which probably just was some sort of part of the product that hadn't melted down during the process. But that is a bad production of a lipstick if the actual product itself is not being melted down correctly. People are complaining that, you know, they put it on the lips and their lips were getting irritated. One person swiped it over the lips and they literally cut their lip. And people assumed, because this is the internet, people were probably exaggerating. And then people were finding fucking metal, like I said earlier in this video, in these lipsticks.
What is that? That's not a hair. That's not like a fiber. What is that? I swear to God, that is a piece of metal. Jaclyn Hill has no integrity if she is letting people continue to purchase this. The second that people started noticing anything, whether it was fuzzies or, you know, little bumps and things like that, she should have pulled it. She's telling people it's completely safe to use, and she probably has a young audience of people that are like, sure, Jaclyn, it's safe to use, I'll buy it too. And they're gonna put that on their lips. Who knows what could happen to them?
But they're not contaminated, right? Jaclyn just did not deal with this well. Like I said, she ran away from social media. I want to say at the very least a month.
What may be an attempt to keep her sanity, she went on to delete all of her social media, except for, you know, her YouTube that's actually still there. But literally deleted Twitter, Instagram, all of it.
She left social media for quite a while. And then when she came back, she had all of these excuses saying that she was never going to work with this lab anymore.
And I am so sorry this happened to you guys. And for obvious reasons, we will no longer be making any more products with this lab, because that's just not what you guys deserve. Contact me and my team. We will get you a full refund and a new perfect bullet that does not look like that. But let me just say this. It is not harmful.
The reason that this happened is because, like I said, that they apparently had these gloves.
And I know that a lot of you guys are gonna have a hard time believing this, because I did as well. This is the truth. Because my lipstick component is a silver, shiny, almost metal-like material, my lab, instead of using a standard glove that they would use in the lab, they decided to use white cotton gloves. They're like fluffy white gloves, because they didn't want the standard gloves to put any smears on this component, to in any way have any sort of prints on it. So they wanted to do a white fluffy glove.
That every single ingredient was FDA approved.
My lipsticks are not moldy. They are not hazardous. They are not contaminated. They are not unsafe for you in any way, shape, or form. Every single ingredient in my lipstick is new and it is FDA approved. And again, I will give you proof right here. If you guys want to look over these documents in depth and tear them apart, you go right ahead and see that they are not contaminated. Every single ingredient is FDA approved and they are not expired.
Just because your ingredients are FDA approved doesn't mean your product is FDA approved. You can literally make with household products. So things can be FDA approved. It just depends how you mix things on how they can get dangerous. Jaclyn had all of these excuses.
My lipsticks did not go into mass production until the same month that I actually launched my brand. It was over black holes that you guys are seeing. What these black dots are actually oxygen bubbles, and they are being lifted to the surface when my lipstick bullet is being cooled off. When it's going from a hot temperature, fresh out of the vat, and it's gonna go into my actual component and just be cooled down so that the component cap can be put on top. In that process, sometimes those oxygen bubbles don't make it all the way through, and you'll see little itty bitty, almost like black-like holes. It's not actually like black holes. Again, it's not mold, it is oxygen, and it is 100% safe. It is not gonna hurt you, but seeing those dots are not pretty, and a lot of stuff all over social media. Like when I log on to social media, I'm just like, oh my God. But from the back end of my brand and actually looking at emails, the biggest issue and the biggest complaint is actually the melting issue. It's actually 80% of our complaints is melting.
I'm gonna refund every single person, but like I said, she did not recall the product, which I think is the worst thing she could have done. She should have taken these away from people. Literally the worst launch of a new brand ever. Like even John Cookian's brand wasn't this bad. Then her second collection came out, which was a bunch of highlighters. It was a highlighter palette, like a loose highlighter, and then like an intense gleam beam sort of highlighter with like 3 brushes. These were considered across the board to be pretty good. The thing that was really confusing to me, and I think to a lot of people, was the fact that this was meant to be a limited edition collection, which it was. The thing that was confusing about that is that technically, because the lipsticks were no longer sold, it was the only product the brand sold. The only products on the website were limited edition products. It was honestly really confusing. Within this collection, I want to just highlight she had a bunch of highlighters for loads of different skin tones. This is probably one of the only collections where she's really catered to all skin tones. And that is apparently, in Jaclyn's words, she got her friends and her partners, deeper skinned friends, and she hired 40 people apparently to test these products.
So I really needed a lot of help because obviously I can't put it on myself and be like, this is gonna be great on dark skin. I don't have dark skin, you know? So I asked my friends who have deep skin. I actually tried them on Jordan's friends, a lot of them who are very, very deep in tone. And then we also hired out 40 different people with deep skin tones as well to come in and help me create these too. So
I'm just going to say now that was definitely an exaggeration, but even if it wasn't, if she was willing to hire people for this to make sure it was so good, then later down the line, this makes no fucking sense as to why all of her other products were not catered to for other skin tones if she thought it was so important. One other thing I'll mention about this release is that there was like a teaser. I think this was on her Instagram. There was a teaser for like a documentary that she was filming at the time of going to the labs to make sure all these products were correct, and she was so scared of launching this product because her previous one failed so badly. Except I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a pity party documentary teaser.
you have no idea how much is about to happen. Like, we're about to explode. There's just been so many things that have happened where I have totally like made you guys lose trust in me.
I'm just so excited because this collection is so beautiful. And we're just investing so much into it again. I just want it to be incredible. It just sucks. It's just like so much more than makeup, you know? It's my dream.
Ugh, I'm so scared to launch this.
It's okay. We want to do everything that we can to make you feel as good as possible.
At the end of the day, I have to rise up. I truly cannot believe how much I have learned, and I have to get back to it.
But that documentary never came out. Vlogumentary, like a Shane Dawson one. That never appeared, so I'd like to know whatever happened to that, because I know from that teaser that there was definitely stuff being filmed. Jaclyn at this time was doing that thing where she would post once or twice and then show a product that she was selling, and then she'd disappear for months, and she'd come back for 1 or 2 videos and she'd sell something and then she'd disappear. This was that sort of trajectory of her channel. Before her next launch, she came back and said that she really needed the support of her subscribers because she had a product coming out, so really need the support of her fans. And her next collaboration was a Morphe palette. This was like a purpley sort of Morphe palette with had a lot of repetitive shades. Like, it literally didn't need to be that big. From what I remember, there was no huge issues with that palette. So next was for Jaclyn's brand.
The new product is actually a mystery box. Introducing the Valentine's Day capsule. It looks like there's 4 different boxes to choose from. One is a lip collection, a highlighter collection, a starter kit, and then a big box that has everything in it. Well, I think mystery boxes can be a really fun idea, but only with established brands. I feel like her brand really needs to earn customers' trust back, so why would you want to buy products from her without even seeing them first or hearing reviews?
So next was for Jaclyn's brand was a bunch of liquid lipsticks and lip liners. People were concerned considering the previous lipstick drama, but these liquid lipsticks seem to go off without a hitch. I know that Kathleen Lights still really enjoys some of the lip liners, so apparently they're widely enjoyed. Somewhere between this time as well, Jaclyn came out with a bunch of bronzer blush duos. Now, people don't really talk about these. There was about 6 to 8 different bronzer blush duos, and you would think that these products would have all skin tones covered. Some of the shades were so similar that you could have easily just removed a palette and you would not have missed it, and you could have replaced that with something for, I don't know, deep fucking skin.
The one thing that I noticed, there's 7 shades altogether. These 4 palettes, the 4, I don't know if they're the 4 lightest. I think there actually is one that's like lighter than these 4 ones. But 4 out of the 7 shades, I was like, wow, those are pretty similar. There is like subtle differences between the undertones and stuff like that. I found it odd that 4 out of the 7 were so similar, especially because once you put that on the skin, it's going to look even less discernible. This, I believe, is the deepest one that she had. So those are the 2 deepest palettes.
And that continued not to happen with her summer collection. She came out with 2 summer collections. Firstly, it was all about the blush. So there was like a blush palette, cream blushes, and some more liquid lipsticks. I didn't really hear too much about it. There was a lot of launches. I think this was all last year, every few months. Couldn't necessarily support every single one. Didn't want to pick apart every single one as well. But from what I remember, there wasn't really much said about the blush collection. However, there was a lot said about the cream bronzer summer collection. This was 4 or 5 cream bronzers and a few lip oils. This was like another peak Jaclyn not catering to deeper skin tones. She showed swatches on 3 different skin tones, light, medium and deep. And on the deep one, you could see they all just looked ashy and would not work for anyone of deep skin tones. And it was just a continuation of this not catering to anyone but her. People called her out for it and said that this just wasn't okay.
The swatches were just terrible. Everyone was just like, girl, like, what are these swatches? Why would you even come out with this? You know what I'm saying? Like,
6 shades, if that's all you could do, can be inclusive. It can. Because if you're gonna do 6 shades, you can have 2 shades for lighter skin, 2 shades for medium skin, 2 shades for deep skin. It absolutely can be done. It is a choice not to. And that's the thing. It's not that they couldn't do 6 inclusive shades, it's that they didn't. And so to make the comment of like, we know that the shade range isn't inclusive, but we'll expand it later. It's just, it was a choice, you know, it was a choice to make lighter shades and to keep the deeper shades for later. You guys get yours later. It's just no longer acceptable. We know better now.
And her brand came out with a statement saying that we're really sorry, we appreciate that we should have been inclusive, but we are definitely going to come up with more in the future to be more inclusive. The problem with this, I found, and a lot of people found, was that Jaclyn had been in the beauty community for a really fucking long time, and she literally lived through the Tarte Cosmetics scandal where they had like 20 shades and only like 2 for for deep skin tones.
Okay. Fair sand, fair neutral, fair light neutral, light sand, light medium neutral, light medium honey, medium sand, medium neutral, medium tan honey, deep honey, rich sand, mahogany. Always somebody's mahogany. Espresso. When you have something called mahogany, you already are telling the consumer that we ain't got nothing else for you.
And people have said for a fucking long time, ever since that happened, that is just not okay. Like, you should not come out with a product unless you are inclusive to all skin tones. It's just not okay. People are trying to say that, oh, well, because it was only 5 shades, she couldn't have been inclusive. You can be inclusive with 5 shades. Anastasia literally came out about a week later with, I want to say, 8 shades. And they went from ridiculously light to very fucking deep. So there was no excuse. Jaclyn's brand is partially owned by Morphe. She has Morphe money. She's fine. She can afford it. And also, she has money herself. So if she needed to, she can invest in her own fucking brand. It was a choice to not include people of a deeper skin colour. It's been a pattern across the board of Jaclyn Cosmetics doing that. Which, speaking of, she also came out with these concealer palettes and loose powders. Again, you see the swatches and they are just so pale. There is nothing there for anyone of a deep skin tone at all. There isn't even anything there for a medium skin tone. It's a very much a consistency of this brand, and it's one of the reasons why I will never ever support it. Next, she came out with a bold lip collection. It was just more liquid lipsticks, but in really like bright sort of colours like pink and red and things like that. So liquid lipsticks were already a known formula. They were already clearly from a well-known lab, so there didn't seem to be any problems with those. The last 2 collections I want to talk about is the foundation and concealer. A barely there foundation, which is interesting for someone like Jaclyn Hill, who is known for glam.
It smells very strongly though. If you don't like perfumey smells, the more I pat this in my skin, I just smell it. Like,
that does not layer well.
But the concealer didn't work for fucking anybody.
The mistake of applying the concealer to both of my under eyes and then going into blend it out, and as you can see, I'm kind of struggling on the other eye. It was very hard to blend out for me, but you can kind of see it kind of looks like almost like splotchy, especially near the inner corners of my eyes.
Wait, it's not buffing out. I gotta like attack this to get it to move. Wait, it's drying down so quickly. Like, even trying to blend this under my eyes right now, it's sticking where it doesn't want to blend. I can still tell where I put it down.
You put it down and you could not blend it out whatsoever. It was impossible to use, it was impossible to blend, and it was harshly critiqued. The last product I just want to mention is around her mum's collection. So she collaborated with her mum, I want to say for Mother's Day this year. She brought out an eyeshadow palette. I can't remember. The only thing I remember is the eyeshadow palette. Considering it's the first eyeshadow palette from the brand, it was a very, again, basic kind of palette. People had commented that this would very much not work for anyone with a deeper skin tone. And I appreciate it was something, a collaboration with her mum. I know I'm like a broken record, but you can make something if you are of a light skin tone like I am for deeper skin tones. I wanted to go through all of those because there's a lot I like about Jaclyn. When she's not trying to sell you something, it's like Jaclyn is like that best friend you've always kind of wanted, that you can just sit and watch a Get Ready With Me and it feels like you're sitting there chatting with your best friend about makeup. That was the thing I think that everyone really enjoyed about Jaclyn Hill. That's why they watched her favourites videos and things like that. They enjoyed her and her personality. However, Jaclyn, unfortunately, her YouTube career became about money. It became about affiliate links. Then it became about selling Morphe so she could get commissions. Then it became about her collaborations and getting as much praise and as much money from those as possible. Then it came about her brand and blaming everybody except herself. Jaclyn has had a pattern over the years of blaming her fans, her customers, rather than taking responsibility and saying that her brand, a brand that she worked with, fucked up.
I tried to cover my tracks. I fucked up.
And the reason, like I said, I wanted to do this video is because that Instagram story trying to literally change the course of history, my friend Jazz highlighted that this was a very, very much Gabby Hanna type of response to something nobody was talking about. This literally gives me flashbacks of what happened last year. People assume that the reason she brought this bullshit up is because she's about to relaunch those shitty fucking lipsticks all over again. I just hope she's doing it with a better lab. I don't think she would ever use that lab again, considering the catastrophe it created. What I will say is recent issues with her brand, there haven't been contamination issues. So if she does come out with lipsticks, and as long as, like I said, they aren't with that lab, which I'm sure they won't be, they probably will go off really, really well. I don't think any of her products would ever have the same contamination issues that the first launch had, but it just leaves a really bad fucking taste in people's mouths that over a year later, and she still cannot take responsibility for the fact that she should have had better controls and she should have recalled those piece of shit products. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like. Subscribe if you feel like it, I'd really appreciate it. Let me know what the next deep dive should be. When I find a topic like this that I really want to go back and have a look at past behaviours and things like that, I can get very intrigued by them. So let me know if there's a topic that you think I should cover. But yeah, I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye!